When you stop being controlled, everything changes. For most of your life, you've been a puppet. Not to people, to reactions. Someone cuts you off in traffic, anger. A plan falls apart, anxiety. You're criticized, shame. You don't choose these, they happen to you. And in that moment, you are controlled. The ancient Stoics saw this trap 2,000 years ago. They weren't trying to suppress emotion. They were trying to reclaim freedom. Because there's a gap between what happens and how you respond. In that gap lives your power. Most people never find it. They live their entire lives as slaves to circumstance, to opinion, to impulse. But there is a shift. It happens the moment you realize you don't control the wind, but you control the set of your sail. You don't control what others do, but you control what it means to you. You don't control the event, but you control your judgment of it. When you stop being controlled by externals, everything changes. Your peace stops being negotiable. Your focus stops being scattered. Your life stops being reactive. This isn't apathy. This is power. You don't need iron bars to be a prisoner. You just need a trigger. Someone disrespects you and your blood boils. A plan collapses and your stomach knots. You get ignored and shame floods your chest. You didn't choose any of it. It happened to you. And in that instant, you were controlled. This is the prison of reaction. It's invisible, but it runs your life. Every single day, the outside world reaches into you and pulls strings. A comment, a traffic jam, a rejection email, a look, and you dance. You think you're free because no one tells you what to do, but your emotions do. Your impulses do. Your unexamined reflexes do. Look at your last week. How many hours were stolen by things you didn't choose to feel? How many decisions were made because you were angry, anxious, offended, or insecure? How many nights did you replay a conversation in your head, letting someone who isn't even there control your peace? That's not freedom. That's a cage with no walls. The prison works because it's fast. Before you can think, you've already reacted. The insult lands, and the rage is already in your fists. The bad news hits, and the panic is already in your lungs. The moment owns you before you even notice it arrived. And the worst part, you call it being yourself. You say, that's just how I am. No, that's how you've been trained. You were trained by every time you let an external event dictate your internal state. Every time you said, he made me mad. He didn't. You did. Every time you said this ruined my day, it didn't. You handed your day to it. The world is not responsible for your emotions. You are. But you've outsourced that job to everything and everyone around you. And so you live on edge, waiting. Because if your peace depends on what happens, then you have to control what happens. You have to control people's opinions. You have to control the past. You have to control the future. It's exhausting because it's impossible. You become a puppet to circumstance, and then you get angry at the strings. The prison of reaction doesn't look like suffering at first. It looks like passion. It looks like caring deeply. It looks like standing up for yourself. But watch closely. It's not strength. It's slavery with adrenaline. Real strength is not feeling nothing. Real strength is not being owned by everything. There is a space between what happens and what you do next. Most people never find it. They live their whole lives in the blur, where stimulus and response are the same thing. Someone pushes, they shove. Life hits, they flinch. They think that's being alive. It's actually being operated. You can't get out of this prison by force. You can't fight your way out with willpower, because the guard is you. The only way out is awareness. The moment you see the strings, they start to loosen. The moment you catch yourself mid-reaction and ask, who's in control right now? That's the first crack in the wall. Because here's the truth. Nothing outside you can make you feel anything without your consent. Pain is inevitable. But anger, despair, humiliation, those are judgments. They are sentences you pass on events. and you can suspend the sentence. This doesn't mean you become passive. It means you become powerful. When you're not a slave to reaction, you can act. You can choose. You can respond instead of flinch. You can face insult without being insulted. You can face loss without being lost. You can walk through chaos without becoming it. That is freedom. Not from hardship, not from difficulty. Freedom from being controlled. And until you have that, you have nothing. The prison has been open your whole life. The door is not locked. It never was. You think you're driving the car. You're not. You're in the passenger seat, white-knuckling the door handle, convinced that if you just grip harder, the road will obey you. That's the illusion. Control. We wake up and try to control the day before it starts. We control the inbox. We control the meeting. We control what people think of us, how they respond, whether they respect us. We build plans, systems, routines, all to keep chaos out. And for a while, it works. Until it doesn't. Until the email comes in. Until the client changes their mind. Until the traffic, the weather, the economy, the other person's mood reminds you that most of reality was never in your hands to begin with. The Stoics saw this 2,000 years ago. Epictetus said it plain. Some things are up to us, and some things are not up to us. Our opinion, our impulse, our desire, our aversion, these are ours. Our body, our property, our reputation, our outcomes, these are not. The moment you mistake one for the other, you suffer, because you're trying to hold water in a clenched fist. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it runs out. Think about the last time you lost your temper. What actually happened? Someone cut you off. Someone disrespected you. A plan fell apart. You reacted. But why? Because you believed you should control their behavior. You believed the world should bend to your expectation. That belief is the prison. The event didn't hurt you. Your judgment about the event did. You told yourself, this shouldn't be happening. And the second you say should, you've already lost. Reality doesn't negotiate with your should. Control is a drug. It feels powerful. It feels safe. You map out every variable. You rehearse every conversation. You predict every outcome. And for a moment, you feel like a god. Then reality walks in, uninvited, and knocks your entire chessboard to the floor. And you're angry. Not because the world is chaotic, but because you believed your map was the territory. So what do we actually control? We control attention. We control interpretation. We control our next action. That's it. That's the whole list. You don't control if people like you. You control if you act with integrity. You don't control if the deal closes. You control if you prepared, if you showed up, if you spoke truth. You don't control the storm. You control if you adjust the sails. Marcus Aurelius was the most powerful man in the world. He could command legions, execute enemies, tax empires. And every night, he wrote reminders to himself that he controlled almost nothing. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He wasn't being poetic. He was being practical. Because the emperor who thinks he controls the plague will go mad. The emperor who controls his response to the plague can still lead. Here's the test. Close your eyes. Picture the one thing you're trying to control right now. A person, a result, a future. Feel the tension in your body. That tension is the cost of the illusion. Now ask, is this up to me? Can I choose it directly, like I choose to lift my arm? Or is it outside me, dependent on weather, on luck, on other wills? If it's outside you, release the grip. Not because you're weak, because you're done wasting strength on ghosts. Releasing control is not passivity. It's precision. The archer aims, draws, breathes, releases. Once the arrow is gone, his job is over. He doesn't fly behind it, yelling at the wind. He prepares for the next shot. That's freedom. That's power. You do your part, fully, then you let the world do its part. You act without attachment to the fruit of action. The illusion says, if I control enough, I'll be safe. Truth says, if I control myself, I'll be steady. Safety is a lie. Steadiness is a skill. So today, practice. When the meeting runs late, notice the urge to control time. Drop it. Control your patience instead. When someone criticizes you, notice the urge to control their opinion. Drop it. Control your response instead. When the future feels uncertain, notice the urge to control outcomes. Drop it. Control your preparation instead. You were never supposed to control the ocean. You were supposed to learn to sail it. The storm will come. The waves don't care about your plan. But your hands on the tiller, your eyes on the horizon, your breath in your chest, those are yours. Always were, always will be. Stop gripping the door handle. Put your hands back on your own wheel. That's the only one you were ever given, and it's enough. Action is where philosophy dies or lives. You can read every book, memorize every quote, tattoo Marcus Aurelius on your chest, and still be a prisoner. Because wisdom without action is just entertainment. The Stoics weren't therapists. They were men in the arena. They didn't journal to feel better. They trained to act better. We live in an age of endless preparation. We research, we plan, we watch the tutorial, we take the course, we make the vision board, we tell ourselves we're getting ready. But readiness is a myth that cowards worship. You are never ready. You become ready by doing. The first rep is ugly. The first sentence is trash. The first sales call is awkward. That's the price. You pay it up front, or you pay it forever, in regret. Epictetus was a slave. He didn't have a morning routine app. He had chains. And still he said, don't explain your philosophy. Embody it. That's the test. Not what you quote, but what you do when no one's clapping. When the plan fails, when the money's gone, when the person you love walks out. Do you collapse into theory, or do you step into action? Here's the lie we believe, that we need to feel like it first, that motivation precedes movement. It doesn't. Movement precedes motivation. You act, and the feeling follows. The brain is lazy and brilliant. It conserves energy by waiting for a signal. The signal is you. Stand up, open the laptop, make the call, lift the weight. The moment you move, your biology changes. Blood flows. Dopamine shifts. The story in your head rewrites itself from I can't to I am. Most people are waiting for permission. They want a sign. They want the fear to disappear. They want confidence before they commit. That's backwards. Confidence is a byproduct. It's the residue of repeated action in the face of doubt. You don't get confident and then act. You act, you fail, you adjust, you act again. Confidence is just the memory of surviving what you thought would kill you. Marcus Aurelius wrote his meditations at war, not in a retreat, not in a temple, in a tent, covered in mud, surrounded by death. He didn't write, someday when things calm down, I'll be disciplined. He wrote, at dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work, as a human being. That's it. No hack, no secret. Get up, go to work, as a human being. Your work is to act with reason, with courage, with justice, right now, in the mess, not after the mess is cleaned. Discipline isn't punishment. Discipline is love. It's loving your future self enough to not betray him today. Every time you skip the hard thing, you cast a vote against the person you claim you want to become. Every time you do the hard thing, you cast a vote for him. Identity is built in these tiny elections. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. And habits are just actions you stopped negotiating with. The enemy is not failure. The enemy is hesitation. Hesitation is where dreams go to suffocate. It's the pause between impulse and action where the mind breeds excuses. What if I'm not good enough? You won't be until you start. What if they judge me? They will. Do it anyway. What if it doesn't work? Then you'll learn. The only true failure is not starting. Because not starting guarantees zero. Starting guarantees either a win or a lesson. Both move you forward. So how do you practice the discipline of action? You shrink the task. You don't write the book, you write the paragraph. You don't build the business, you send the email. You don't get in shape, you do 10 push-ups. The brain fears the mountain, it can handle the step. Make the step so small, it's embarrassing to avoid. Then take another. Momentum is a law of physics, not personality. Objects in motion stay in motion. Become the object. Second, you separate mood from mission. Your feelings are weather. Your mission is the climate. You don't cancel the flight because it's cloudy. You fly. You don't skip the work because you feel flat. You work. Amateurs let mood dictate movement. Professionals let commitment dictate movement. They show up regardless, especially when they don't want to. That's when it counts. Anyone can act when it's easy. Discipline is acting when it's hard, when it's boring, when it's unrewarded. Third, you embrace the suck. The Stoics called it voluntary hardship. Train yourself to be uncomfortable on purpose. Cold showers, hard conversations, early mornings, doing the thing you've been avoiding. Because life will bring involuntary hardship. And if you've never practiced, you'll break. But if you train, you bend, you adapt, you stay in the fight. The obstacle becomes the way, not a slogan, a strategy. Every resistance point is a rep. Every no is a chance to practice resolve. Look at your life right now. Where are you all talk? Where are you consuming instead of creating? Where are you planning instead of executing? Point to it. Name it. That's your arena. Not tomorrow, today. Not when you're ready, now. The world doesn't need more opinions. It needs more examples. Be the example. You will be scared. Good. Fear means you're at the edge of your current self. Step over it. You will be doubted. Good. Doubt from others means you're not playing small anymore. You will be tired. Good. Fatigue means you're in the work, not watching it. Keep going. At the end, you won't be measured by what you intended. You'll be measured by what you did. By the lives you touched. By the work you finished. By the fear you walked through. By the times you got up, when every cell said stay down. So stop negotiating with the life you want. Stop rehearsing. Stop waiting. Stand up, take the step, then the next. That's the discipline. That's the action. That's the only way. The gate is open. Walk through it. The world teaches you to react. Someone cuts you off in traffic, and your blood rises. A comment lands wrong, and you spend the day replaying it. A plan collapses and your chest tightens, as if the universe personally betrayed you. This is the default setting. Stimulus, then impulse, then regret. You think you are responding to life, but you are being dragged by it. Every notification, every raised eyebrow, every delay becomes a leash around your neck. The more leashes you collect, the less you move under your own power. You call it sensitivity. You call it passion. But what it really is slavery with better branding. There is a different way to live, and it begins with a single, brutal recognition. You do not control events, but you control what you do with them. The rain falls whether you curse it or not. The market crashes whether you panic or not. People lie, leave, disappoint, and die, whether you are ready or not. Your job is not to bend reality to your will. Your job is to bend your will until it is strong enough for reality. That is the only freedom that cannot be taken from you. Everything else, money, status, health, reputation, can be stripped in an afternoon. Your capacity to choose your response remains until your last breath. Most people never touch it. They die having lived their entire lives as a reaction to things they never chose. So you start with the pause. Between what happens and what you do next, there is space. In that space lives your power. Most never find it because they move too fast. The insult comes, and the mouth fires back. The fear comes, and the body freezes or flees. The desire comes, and the hand reaches. Speed feels like life, but it is often just habit wearing a mask. Slow down enough to see the gap. In that gap, ask 2 questions. First, is this in my control? If the answer is no, release it. Not with pretty affirmations, but with the same finality you use to drop a stone. You do not negotiate with gravity. Second, if it is in my control, what is the correct action? Not the action that will make them like you. The correct one. The one you will respect at midnight when the room is quiet and there is no one left to impress. This is not detachment. Detachment is the coward's version of strength. It says nothing matters, so I will not care. That is anesthesia, not mastery. The point is not to feel less. The point is to feel fully and still choose wisely. Anger can come, let it, then decide whether it serves. Grief can come, let it, then decide whether you will drown in it or carry it. Desire can come, let it, then decide whether it owns you or you use it. Emotion is data, not command. You are not your first impulse. You are what you do after it. People think control means suppression. It does not. Suppression is putting a lid on a boiling pot and pretending the stove is off. Control is turning the heat down. It is building a nervous system and a mind that are not set on fire by every spark. You do that through repetition. You expose yourself to small discomforts on purpose so that big ones do not own you. You take the cold shower. You have the hard conversation without rehearsing your victory. You sit with the urge to check your phone and let it pass. Each time you choose discipline over dopamine, you cast a vote for the kind of person you are becoming. After enough votes, you are no longer pretending. You are that person. This path will cost you. You will lose the high of instant validation. You will lose the comfort of blaming others. You will lose the drama that made you feel alive, because chaos was the only proof you mattered. In exchange, you gain something quieter and permanent. Self-respect. You become the person who does not betray himself when no one is watching. You become the person who can be trusted with power, because he does not leak it every time he gets emotional. You become the person who walks into a room and does not need to dominate it to feel safe. Your presence changes because your internal weather changes. You are the ground. The world will test this. It will send you the exact person who knows how to press your buttons. It will take the thing you were sure you needed. It will give you success and see if you become a tyrant. It will give you failure and see if you become a victim. Each test is a question. Are you still free, or did you rent your peace out again? Answer with action, not with quotes, not with journals, with action. Get up when you said you would. Do the work when you do not feel like it. Speak the truth when it costs you. Keep your word when it hurts. That is the only credential that matters. You will fail. You will react. You will fall back into old patterns because they are warm and familiar. When you do not collapse into shame. Shame is another leash. You notice, you correct, you return. The standard is not perfection. The standard is return. How fast do you come back to yourself after you leave? That speed is your real strength. Shorten the distance between the mistake and the correction. That is the game. There is no final arrival. There is only the next moment and what you do with it. Life will keep happening. People will keep being people. Your body will age. Your plans will break. Your certainties will crack. If your peace depended on those things, you are always going to lose. If your peace depends on your ability to choose your response, then you are free right now. Not tomorrow. Not when you have more money or less anxiety. Now. So take the step, the one in front of you, not the grand gesture, the small, correct thing. Make the call, write the page, have the hard 10 minutes that prevent 10 years of regret. Do not wait to feel ready. Readiness is a myth sold to people who want permission to delay. Action creates clarity. Action creates confidence. Action creates the kind of person who doesn't need the world to be easy to be okay. This is the discipline of the inner citadel. Not a wall to hide behind, but a center to operate from. When you live from there, nothing external can reach the part of you that matters. They can take your job. They cannot take your character. They can insult your name. They cannot insult your choices. They can lock the door. They cannot lock your mind. That is the difference between a person and a puppet. Cut the strings. Start now. Death is the only appointment you will not miss. You can postpone the meeting, dodge the call, change the career, move cities, end relationships, and rewrite your story 100 times. But the last page is already printed. You do not know the date. You do not know the hour. You know only that it is coming. Most people spend their lives trying to forget that fact. They fill every silence with noise, every blank space with urgency, every quiet evening with a screen. They treat time like it is infinite, and then wonder why their life feels hollow. They are busy, but they are not alive. They are moving, but they are not going anywhere that matters. The denial of death is the denial of life. You cannot value what you pretend is unlimited. So start here. You are going to die. Say it until the words stop feeling dramatic and start feeling factual. You are going to die, and so is everyone you love, and so is everyone who has ever hurt you. This is not morbid. This is mathematics. Once you accept the term limit, the negotiations change. The question is no longer how do I get more time. The question is how do I waste less of the time I have. That is the entire shift, from accumulation to attention, from more years in your life to more life in your years. People misunderstand this. They hear mortality and they think panic. They quit their job, buy the car, book the flight, burn the bridge. That is not awareness of death. That is fear of death wearing a costume. Awareness does not make you reckless. It makes you precise. When you know the glass is finite, you stop pouring it on the floor. You stop arguing for 20 minutes about something you will not remember in 20 days. You stop spending your best hours with people who drain you because you are afraid of silence. You stop postponing the conversation, the apology, the risk, the work that actually matters. Death is a deadline that clarifies. It removes the fake problems. It burns away the performance. What remains is what was real all along. Look at your calendar. It is maintenance of a life you do not even want. Meetings that should have been emails. Obligations you said yes to because no felt impolite. Goals you inherited from parents, from peers, from a version of you that no longer exists. You keep paying the tax on a life you have outgrown. The cost is not money. The cost is days, and days are the only currency you cannot earn back. A man on his deathbed does not wish he had replied faster to emails. He wishes he had been present for the moments that were actually his. The meal with his son, the walk without his phone, the hour he spent doing the work that made him feel useful, the time he told the truth instead of keeping the peace. So you audit your life with death as the accountant. Ask of every commitment, if I had 1 year left, would I still do this? If the answer is no, you have two choices. End it, or admit you are choosing to waste your life. There is no third option. All the justifications are noise. I need the money, they expect me to. It would disappoint people. I have done it for so long. Those are real sentences, but they are not real reasons. They are fear. Fear of uncertainty, fear of judgment, fear of your own freedom. You cannot be free and be liked by everyone. You cannot be free and be safe from loss. You pick. This discipline is not about thinking of death every second. That is another form of slavery. The point is to let mortality sit in the back of the room while you live. It is the quiet reminder that makes you put the phone down when your child is talking. It is the weight that makes you say the hard thing now instead of rehearsing it for 5 years. It is the standard that makes you do the work even when no one is clapping. because you are not working for applause. You are working for the person you will be when the lights go out. You will lose people. That is part of the contract. Every hello carries a goodbye. If you cannot accept that, you will never fully arrive in any relationship. You will hover. You will love with the brakes on. You will keep one eye on the exit. The price of deep love is deep grief. You do not get to negotiate that, so you choose numbness or pain, shallow safety or real connection. The Stoic does not harden his heart. He softens it and strengthens his hands. He holds fully, knowing he will have to let go. That is why his love is clean. It has no desperation in it. It does not cling. It does not use the other person as a shield against aloneness. It gives because it can, not because it needs. Your body is also on the clock. You pretend it is not. You trade sleep for scrolling. You trade strength for comfort. You trade breath for speed. Then you are surprised when the bill comes. The body keeps perfect records. Every skipped walk, every ignored stress, every night you numbed instead of rested, it is all in the ledger. You do not need to be an athlete. You need to be a person who will not betray his future self for a snack. Move because you can. Rest because you must. Eat like someone who plans to be here in 10 years. Not out of vanity, out of respect. You only get one body. It is the horse you ride into every battle. Starve it, and you will lose fights you could have won. There is a second death that comes before the last breath. It is the death of potential. Every day you do not do the thing you know you should do, a version of you dies. The writer who never writes, the builder who never builds, the father who never says the words, the friend who never makes the call. These are quiet funerals. No one attends, but you feel them. They accumulate as regret, and regret is heavier than discipline. Discipline weighs ounces. Regret weighs tons. You choose which one to carry. So use death, not as a threat, but as a tool. When you are afraid to start, remember that you will be dead soon, and the fear will not matter, but the work will. When you are about to waste an hour, remember that you will be dead soon, and you cannot buy it back. When you are about to break your word, remember that you will be dead soon, and your character is the only thing you take with you. Not your bank account, not your followers, not your reputation, your character. What you did when no one was watching, what you chose when it cost you, that is the only record that matters. This is why urgency without panic is the master skill. Panic says do everything now. Awareness says do the right thing now. Panic flails. Awareness focuses. Panic burns you out. Awareness lights you up. The man who lives with death in mind does not rush. He moves. He does not scatter. He selects. He cuts entire categories of distraction because he knows his days are numbered. He says no without guilt because yes would be a lie. He works without needing to be seen because he is not working for the crowd. He is working for the end. And the end makes him honest. You will still waste time. You are human. The goal is not perfection. The goal is fewer leaks. Catch yourself faster. Notice when you are living like you have forever. Notice when you are outsourcing your presence to the future. Come back. One breath, one choice, one moment reclaimed. Stack enough of those and you get a life. Not a long life, a deep one. A life that when the appointment comes, you can meet without bargaining, without pleading, without the desperate need for one more day. Because you used the days you had. So write the letter, make the call, start the thing, end the thing, say what is true, do what is right, love without armor, work without applause, rest without guilt, walk without your phone. Look people in the eye, keep your word, bury the excuses, burn the timelines that were built on fear. You do not have time to be anyone but yourself. You do not have time to live a life that is not yours. The clock is running. It has been running since you were born. That is not tragedy. That is the terms. The tragedy is to reach the end and realize you spent it all preparing to live. Do not do that. You were not built to walk alone. The lie of the modern world is that strength means isolation, that the strong man needs no one, that asking for help is weakness, that community is for the soft. That is how men die quietly in rooms full of people. They post their wins, hide their wounds, and call it independence. But independence without interdependence is just a slower form of suicide. You can bench press your body weight and still be crushed by the weight of carrying everything yourself. Brotherhood is not friendship. Friendship is casual. Friendship is beer and banter. Brotherhood is blood without the genetics. It is the pact that says, I will tell you the truth when you are lying to yourself. I will hold you to your standard when you want to quit. I will show up when it is inconvenient, when you are ugly, when you have nothing to offer back. And you will do the same for me, not because it feels good, but because it is right. Because no man becomes who he was meant to be without other men who refuse to let him settle. You think your problems are unique. They are not. The man next to you is fighting the same war in a different uniform, same doubts, same addictions, same quiet fear that he is not enough. But you will never know that if you keep performing. Performance is the enemy of brotherhood. Performance says, I am fine. Performance posts the highlight reel. Performance nods and says, yeah man, me too, but never goes deeper. Brotherhood starts when performance ends. When you drop the act and say, this is where I am bleeding. That is the moment real strength enters the room. Most men have no brothers. They have contacts. They have coworkers. They have gym partners who know their benchmarks but not their burdens. They have 1,000 followers and no one who would show up at 2 a.m. with a shovel. That is not a network. That is a crowd. And a crowd will watch you drown while filming it for content. Brotherhood does not film. Brotherhood jumps in. So you build it, intentionally. You do not wait for it to happen. You create the circle. You start by being the man you wish you had in your corner. You become reliable. You answer the call. You keep the confidence. You speak truth, even when your voice shakes. You do the hard things so your word means something. Then you look for other men doing the same. Not perfect men, consistent men. Men who are done with excuses. Men who want to be great more than they want to be comfortable. You find them in the early mornings, in the hard places, in the moments when everyone else quits. That is where brotherhood is forged. The test is not when life is good. Anyone can be a brother when the sun is out. The test is when you fail, when you lose the job, when the marriage cracks, when the addiction comes back, when the depression lies to you and says you are alone. That is when brotherhood earns its name. A real brother does not offer platitudes. He offers presence. He sits in the dark with you until you remember who you are. He does not save you. He reminds you that you are not done. Then he stands up and expects you to stand with him. Because brotherhood is not charity. It is accountability. This will cost you. You will have to be vulnerable. You will have to hear things about yourself that sting. You will have to drop the armor you have been welding since you were a boy. You will have to admit you do not have all the answers. You will have to ask for help before you are desperate. That feels like death to the ego. Let it die. The ego is the part of you that would rather be alone and right than connected and growing. Kill it. Bury it. The man who emerges is the one your future needs. Brotherhood is also war, not against each other, but against the parts of each other that need to die. The laziness, the lying, the self-sabotage, the stories that keep you small. A real brother will go to war with your demons, even if it means he becomes the enemy for a season. He will not let you talk yourself out of your potential. He will not co-sign your bullshit. That is love. Anything less is just association. You cannot self-help your way out of isolation. You cannot podcast your way into character. Character is built in public, in pressure, in front of men who see you. You need witnesses to your life. Not fans. Witnesses. Men who were there when you said what you would do. Men who will ask you about it next week. Men who will not let you quietly quit. That is the difference between a dream and a discipline. Dreams die in silence. Discipline lives in community. So stop waiting. Text the man you respect but have been too proud to reach out to. Tell him you want to build. Set the standard. Weekly call. No fluff. Truth only. What did you say you would do? Did you do it? Where did you lie? Where did you win? Where do you need help? Then listen. Then act. Then repeat. Do that for a year, and you will not recognize your life. You do not rise alone. You rise together, or you do not rise at all. The lone wolf is a myth for boys. The man understands that his strength is multiplied, not diminished, by brotherhood. Your enemies are isolation, ego, and silence. Your weapons are honesty, presence, and shared work. Choose your brothers. Choose them carefully. Then choose them daily. Because when the storm comes, and it will come, you do not want a crowd. You want a circle. You want men who will stand in the fire with you and not flinch. You want men who will carry you when you cannot walk, and who will let you carry them when they cannot. That is brotherhood. That is the discipline. It is not soft. It is not easy. It is necessary. The world is trying to separate you, to atomize you, to keep you scrolling, consuming, competing, comparing. Alone men are easy to control. Connected men are dangerous. Be dangerous. Start today. The world is designed to steal you from yourself. Every ping, every scroll, every headline is a pickpocket reaching for your attention. And attention is the only thing you actually own. Money can be printed. Time passes whether you use it or not. But attention is yours to direct or to donate. Most men donate it all day, then wonder why their life feels like someone else is living it. They are busy, but they are scattered. They are informed, but they are not formed. They know 10,000 facts, and none of themselves. Focus is not a productivity hack. It is a form of self-respect. To focus is to say, this matters more than that. It is to choose, and choosing is violent. When you choose one thing, you murder 1,000 other options. That is why most men refuse to do it. They keep every tab open in their brain, because closing a tab feels like death. So they live in half lives. Half in the conversation, half in their phone. Half in their work, half in the future. Half with their family, half with their fears. Never all in, never present, never powerful. You think the enemy is distraction. It is not. The enemy is cowardice. Distraction is just the symptom. The root is your unwillingness to face the silence that comes when the noise stops. Because in silence, you meet yourself. You meet the work you have been avoiding. You meet the gap between who you are and who you said you would be. That gap burns. So you reach for the phone. You refresh the feed. You start a new project instead of finishing the old one. You call it research. You call it inspiration. You call it burnout. It is none of those things. It is fear. The undisciplined mind is a slave market. Every app, every ad, every algorithm is a bidder. They want seconds of you. They will take milliseconds if you let them. And you do. You sell your morning to the news. You sell your evening to the stream. You sell your focus to strangers who do not know your name and do not care if you live or die. You are not a consumer. You are the product. Your attention is the crop, and they are harvesting you daily. So, you reclaim it, brutally. You start by killing the lie that you can multitask. You cannot. You can switch tasks, and every switch costs you. It costs time, it costs quality, it costs depth. The man who does 3 things at once does none of them well. He is busy and useless. The master does one thing. He does it until it is done. Then he does the next thing. That is the entire secret. Boring, unsexy, undefeated. Set the rule. One thing at a time. When you work, work. Phone in another room. Door closed. Timer running. No inputs until the output is finished. When you are with your people, be with your people. Eye contact. No phone on the table. No checking. The world will not end if you are unreachable for 90 minutes. your life might start. When you rest, rest. No half work, no guilt. Full on or full off. The in-between is where life leaks. You will feel withdrawal. Good. That means you are addicted. The first 10 minutes of deep work will feel like panic. Your brain will invent emergencies. It will tell you to check one thing. It will promise that you are missing something important. You are not. You are missing nothing except the noise. Sit through it. Breathe through it. On the other side of that itch is your power. On the other side of that itch is the man who can think his own thoughts again. Protect your mornings. The morning is the bow. The arrow is your day. If you give your first hour to other people's agendas, you will spend the next 15 reacting. Win the morning, and you win the day. That means no phone for the first 60 minutes. No news, no inbox, no inputs, only outputs. Move, plan, create before you consume. The world can wait. Your future cannot. Curate your inputs like your life depends on it, because it does. You are what you eat, and you are what you watch, and you are what you listen to. Garbage in, garbage out. If your mind is anxious, check your feed. If your life is chaotic, check your inputs. Unfollow anyone who makes you feel less. Unsubscribe from anything that sells you outrage. Delete apps that do not serve the man you are becoming. You do not owe anyone your attention, not even your past self, especially not your past self. Depth is the new flex. Anyone can skim. Anyone can react. Anyone can have an opinion in 10 seconds. The rare man can go deep. The rare man can sit with a problem until it surrenders. The rare man can read a book without checking his phone. The rare man can have a conversation without scripting his reply. Be that man. In a world of skimmers, the deep man is a king. This will make you lonely at first. People will call you intense. They will say you changed. They will say you are too serious. Let them. They are not doing the work. They are not paying the price. They are not building anything that lasts. You are. The man who masters focus will own the next decade. Because while everyone else was scattering their energy, he was compounding his. Focus is saying no 1,000 times a day. No to the notification. No to the gossip. No to the good opportunity that is not the right opportunity. No to the comfort that would make you soft. No to the version of you that wants easy. Every no is a yes to something higher. Every no is a brick in the wall of your life. Build the wall. Guard the gate. You only get one brain, one life, one shot. You can spend it reacting to whatever is loudest, or you can spend it building whatever is truest. The choice is made every 5 minutes. Who owned it? You or the algorithm? Look at your last day. Did you direct it or did you follow it? Look at your last year. Are you closer or further? There is no neutral. You are either training focus or training distraction. You are either sharpening the blade or dulling it. Pick. Start now.